Here, what we'll find is we'll find a way. You'll see that our cursor has changed to a pencil, and we got this square here. This allows us to place stuff. So we are going to begin by taking a look at these tools. Well, I mean, these are fairly obvious. You got a pencil, an eraser, and a picker. You can pick any of them, but you can also use shortcuts for all of them. So if you hold Control, it turns into a picker. If you hold Shift, it turns into an eraser. If you have the eraser, if you hold Shift, it turns into a pencil. Control always works as a picker. If you have a picker, you just have a picker. Now down here you have the worlds. So the game presently has 3 worlds, just like you would in the main game. So if I turn on the game background, you can change the world. Let's stay on Apex for now. And let's turn off the game background again. The world also affects all of the tiles. You'll see how shortly. Now these are the pieces that we can put, or as I just call them, tiles. Some of them can rotate, some of them cannot rotate. For example, the squares cannot rotate. But for instance, these, they can rotate. You can also use shortcuts for these. The Q and the E key rotate. The elbows, for example, can be rotated, and so on. They also have different variants. So for instance, if I'm going to click here, I'm going to place this elbow. I can also change the variant of the elbow and click again. That works. So we can change variants with C and V, by the way, as shortcuts on the keyboard. And there's one more feature I want to show you, which is in the pieces, in the squares. One of the possible variants is random. That is because the squares have the most variants, the most differences, while remaining very similar. But it makes for a much more interesting structure to have sort of randomly placed squares, so it looks much more varied, right? Now let's see how it looks like when we change worlds. So this is Magnar and this is Hamner. And as you can see, the world automatically adapts itself to whichever world you want to have. Now, one thing that I'm also going to take the opportunity to show you is, as I said, if I hold Shift, this turns into an eraser, right? And if we, for example, put this particular elbow and then the other type of elbow over here, or over here, right? We can Control click, and we now color pick, well, object pick, I suppose, and we picked exactly that rotation, that object, and that variant. So let's do it with this one, and you'll see it's fairly quick for us to create a symmetrical structure like this. Now, one last thing I'm going to show you while we're in architecture is undo and redo, right? So it's possible to undo or redo, just like that. All right, so let's hide the architecture and move on to the next bit.